taking cocaine at home. As addiction progresses and it gets worse over the years, then you find yourself doing new behaviours that you would never have contemplated before. We'd be watching Netflix. I'd nip off and go to the toilet and do something in the toilet. And I know. And I'd be hiding things upstairs, under beds. And there's a credit card and there's some cocaine and there's a rolled up note and it's all ready. So I can run upstairs, do a couple of lines and then knock it back under the bed. And I did that for quite some time without you knowing. I remember the day I properly got caught out was when... Welcome to The Goldings Show. My name is David Golding. I am a recovered alcoholic, cocaine addict and gambling addict, and I'm known as Sober Coach Dubai.
And my name's Kristina Golding, and I'm still David's wife. I'm still here.
You're still here. It's unbelievable.
Still here. We've overcome so much.
We have. Today's episode is called Behind Closed Doors. Now, I think the reason that we decided to talk about this was that we recognised that in the journey, in our journey, our shared journey of my addiction, there was this sort of public persona that we would put on. And then there was the private, real persona. There was what was really going on behind closed doors.
Well, when we first met, we used to go out.
Yes, we did.
Because you were sober for a year.
Yeah.
And then you drank when we got married.
Yeah.
And then we used to go out a lot until it became a nightmare.
Okay. So let's talk about that. So I do recall going out. I mean, I was always somebody who loved going out. Look, I'm Mr. Party.
Yeah.
There was never a, let's have a quiet night out.
No.
There was never one of those.
No. You'd walk in a room, the room would light up.
Right.
You'd probably know half the room. You'd like to go to the same places where you knew the same setup, you knew the same people, the same waiters, waitresses that would all fuss over you for the big juicy tip that you would enjoy to give them at the end. I don't think they'd have tips like yours. And you used to walk in and it would light up.
Yes.
Literally.
Yeah, I think that, look, that was something that I craved. I mean, I craved attention. I craved being liked, even if it was false being liked. So I think people were pleasant and professional. Of course, I'm not trying to call people, but I'm saying that when we went to restaurants and we went out to bars, I was always doing massive tips. Massive, because I wanted to be known. I wanted to feel special.
But then when we went for a meal, we wouldn't be sat there long before somebody had come over. Mm. And then you'd just talk and talk and talk. The meal would be finished and then we'd go and join a bigger group.
Yes.
And then you'd start drinking.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I was ever really somebody who did the sort of pre-drinks, but I think that once we were out.
Yeah, you never drank at home. But that's when we used to go out. It's hard for me to recall because we've not been out like that for such a long time because we slowly stopped. And then Netflix became our favourite thing to do because it meant that the two of us could hide away.
Okay. So that's where that public persona becomes more private.
Yeah.
So let's just talk about that transition where we transition from being a going out couple to not going out anymore. Now, I think that happened quite quickly, I think. I don't think it was like a 2-year thing. I think it was pretty damn quick.
No, it was a 4-month thing.
Yeah.
Because of the rows we used to have.
Okay.
I used to think, here we go, how am I going to get home? Where's the taxis? I was always on alert. I was ready for a row. It's so sad, but it's true. Yeah. I used to go out knowing that I'd probably come back earlier than you would.
Right.
Sometimes you wouldn't come back at all.
Right. And I think that was probably where we were doing this flyby, which is because you're not a drinker. I mean, you're not a drinker. You didn't
I can have a couple.
Yeah, but you're not somebody who likes to go out and get giddy, merry, sloshed, or completely comatose.
Not like you, no.
No, well, there's very few that are like me. But yeah, I would go out and keep drinking. And the trouble is that once I've had a certain amount of drink, then I want way more.
And you'd buy everybody else drinks so that your drink would become hidden.
Yes.
You told me that once. And I thought, that's so true. I remember.
Yeah, we get very good at that. The truth is that I don't really want to drink that amount of drink alone. I don't want to be seen to be drinking that amount. So I'd like to hide in plain sight. So if there's other drinkers that are out, I'll get us involved in that gang. And then, of course, what would happen is that we'd go for dinner. Then I would want to go to somewhere where there's later drinks. And I think at that point, when it's 11, 12 o'clock at night, you're thinking, gosh, I don't want to spend another 2 hours with David the drunk.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Here we go.
you would probably say, can we go home? And I would say, sorry, what the hell do you mean go home? I'm out for a big one, because I was always out for a big one. And I think that's where arguments would come from.
Well, the last argument we had, the last time we went out, was when you tipped the barman £500. And he said, sir, I cannot accept this.
Right.
And you got a little bit annoyed because he wouldn't accept the £500.
Gosh.
And I just thought, time to go.
Wow, okay. Oh, I vaguely remember that. There was a bar in Hale, which is where we lived. There was a bar called Victor's, and it was newly open.
It just opened. It was the in place to go.
And I think I wanted to be Mr. Big, didn't I?
Mr. Ego. Well, you're 6'6". Everyone can see you coming along. You think, here's DG.
Yeah. Piccolinos.
And I'm sorry to say it, but I think there were certain people that had a free night. And they knew they'd have a free night because you were there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so back in Piccolinos, which is our favourite restaurant, I was known at the time as Ferrari Dave. I only found that after I was sober. I hated the idea of that. Honestly, awful. But anyway, I would tip
It's
people.
in the past now, it doesn't matter. We slowly started. I know I recall, I don't want to go out again.
Right, okay.
I want to stay at home. And I made Netflix really cozy, pizza.
Yeah.
We can drink here.
Got you.
Because if we row, it's okay. I can just go upstairs.
Because there's an embarrassment. Gosh, the number of times I would have embarrassed you, I know. And
it's okay.
I would embarrass myself.
I know. I know.
So,
at least there was some times when you did come home with me. Sometimes you didn't come home.
Okay.
Sometimes we'd row at home and then you'd leave, you'd drive out and then I wouldn't see you for a week.
Yeah, I know.
So Netflix that's why we talk about Netflix a lot and series and TV shows, because I relied upon Netflix and Sky. Anything that I could get you to sit down and watch, typically action, fighting. Well, I always like fighting.
You do, you're the way.
I feel like I'm in the film. And it would be okay because the children go to bed at a set time and you would start drinking typically when they were going to bed. So it felt safe.
Okay.
Let's stay in.
Now, you see, what's interesting about that is that what we'd really done was taken the embarrassment of me being an alcoholic and causing mayhem and chaos and arguments. And we've taken it from the village and we've taken it home.
Yeah.
And we're now keeping it secret. We're now hiding it. We absolutely don't want anyone to know it. I mean, there might be times where we would organise an evening, a little partyette, a dinner. I mean, I would like to do things on a Sunday. I like to cook a Sunday roast.
Yeah, you're always good at Sunday roasts.
But that was an excuse.
Yeah, to drink.
There were always excuses. Parties. I mean, November the 5th, that was brilliant. I'd arrange fireworks display at the house, invite everyone from the offices.
You invited the street. None of the neighbours replied.
No, okay, yeah.
You had a hog roast.
Yeah. So organising...
We had fun, though. Yes. I don't want to talk about this time that I hated it. There was no hate. It was a sad time, but we had really good times.
Yes.
We did.
Of course we did. I think that's the reality.
Until you threw the glass of orange in my face.
Yes, until I did that and did other things too. And I think that what would have happened is that, we'd have had probably lots of nice and fun evenings and lovely together evenings. And that would probably ebb and flow with the amount I was drinking. I mean, let's be honest. There was always a line, which is if I'd drunk too much, it was all bets are off. It was going to be a disaster.
I bet there's a lot of people that stay at home because of the same reasons we did.
Yes, of course.
Going out was too risky.
Yes.
Police, ambulances, you don't know where you're going to end up, who you're going to meet.
Interesting.
Lend us some money because they knew you had a few quid.
Yeah.
There was a lot going on.
Well, I would get into arguments and scrapes. I mean, because I'm intolerant. So, of course, when I'm drunk and intolerant, you can guarantee that I'm going to bite someone's head off.
Oh, I know.
And I've something to say. Well, you were always at the brunt end of me having something to say. And again, that's moved behind closed doors. So now that's at home. These are evenings where nobody's now witnessing. Apart from when we open our doors and invited people for a party, and I would still cock it up and still screw up and still have big rows.
We had a big row once, do you remember, in the back garden, and somebody else was rowing 2 doors down, and we started rowing, and you said, "Come here, right in the middle of the row. And next door but one were as well.
Oh.
And we just started laughing and then it was okay.
Right. That broke the ice.
Switched it off. Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of people stay indoors to feel safer.
Yeah.
I certainly did. The children were asleep.
Yes.
Because they were a good age. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'm not sure how I would have dealt with you if we'd have had teenagers.
Yeah. Well, they would have seen way too much.
Yeah.
And it would have taken a different course. I'm not necessarily imagining it would have been better, quicker. I would have quit drinking years before. I don't know whether that would have been the case.
I don't know.
But I think everybody's journey is very different. Everyone's family is very different. But I think the truth is that it is a family disease. You know, my disease of addiction impacts the family and every family around the world.
I didn't believe it was a disease at the beginning.
Really?
I thought it was a choice.
I know you did, yeah.
Because I hadn't met anybody like you. Now it's a different feel. I know now.
Yeah.
It's not a choice. And people die from this anyway. So if it's a choice or a disease, does it matter? People die from it. Surely something has to be done.
Yeah, I was watching a podcast the other day with Joe Rogan, and he had a guest. And the guest, I mean, they're very professional, but the guest was implying that people have some sort of choice about this. And they were talking about people being on the streets. If you go to LA and Vancouver, there's lots and lots of people. There's lots of addiction on the streets. There's new drugs like Trank and a few others where people turn into sort of zombies. And the gentleman was trying to infer that people are choosing to do that. You know, look, they're choosing to live on the streets and they're choosing to take drugs. From where I stand and the journey I've been on, there was never really a choice about it. And I know that's incredibly difficult for people to understand. You know, why are you saying that you don't have a choice? Surely you can just stop.
No, I don't think you can.
No, we need help.
But I met you and changed my mind.
Yes.
Maybe the people who still believe it's a choice haven't had somebody so close to them break their heart.
Yes.
And come close to death.
Yes.
Maybe then they'll change their minds.
Yes. Because at the beginning, I'm sure you have said on the podcast, you've said to me that you thought that I had a choice and you couldn't understand why I was continuing to choose to
keep hurting everybody all the time.
Yeah.
And rowing with everyone and being so intolerant and generally being so miserable.
Yes. And I'm sure that there'll be listeners and viewers who will think, what a cop-out, David. You're trying to pretend that you haven't got a choice, like that's some sort of excuse. It's not an excuse like that. It's not to say, well, there you go, you see, didn't have a choice. Happy days, crack on.
I think a lot of people say that.
Yeah, it's not happy days. And I think that admitting that it's a disease isn't an excuse. It's an explanation. It's a way for others to try and understand what it means. In the same way that other diseases that you get, there's ways they're classified of why it's a disease. I mean, I can pick some off the top of my head. Like, firstly, it's terminal. Okay, those are common with diseases. They're terminal. You're powerless over the course of it. You know, once you've got it, you're not getting rid of it. You know, things like this.
And you can have cross addiction. You taught me this. You start one, you go into something else.
Yes, and I think that what happened with me over the years.
You had 3?
Yes. I think, well, more. I mean, there's more addictions. I'm riddled with addictions because I've got the disease of more. That's the disease I've really got.
Yeah, you have.
So it doesn't really matter. But I was always like that from a boy, you know. I'll try and give you an example. If there was a new game, a new sport, or something new. See, new's exciting. New's different.
New shiny objects over there.
New shiny objects.
Big distraction.
Yeah. And if there's something new, I will absolutely throw myself into it to try and become fantastic at it.
Yeah, that's true.
And I wonder whether that underneath what's going on there's an obsession. There's already an obsession into these new things. So I can be readily obsessed by things. I do them to death. I mean, obsessed about my favorite clothes. I'm sure lots of people will think that, well, this isn't obsession. But, you know, when you've got your favorite clothes, I'll just wear them every day. If I could wash them every day and turn them around and wear them again tomorrow, I would. It's probably only because I'd be worried that people would think I'm wearing dirty clothes. No, I go home and wash them all.
Yeah, you're very clean.
And thank you.
You are very clean.
Okay. So look, this obsession is something I've got. which has turned, I think, into, over the years, the disease of more. That's what I'm talking about. So this obsession, this disease of more, this cross-addiction that you were talking about. I mean, I remember being in the madness, recognizing that, okay, I'm drinking way too much. So I would really try and limit the amount I'd drink. But then I'd realize a few days later that suddenly I'm gambling more. And I think, fucking, I don't want to do that anymore.
Or you'd swap from wine to gin.
Yes.
And drink twice as much gin as you would wine.
Yeah, that's more of a management and control attempt that you think I'll attempt to. This is clearly a bad thing. I'm drinking way too much wine. I keep getting drunk. Or if I flip to something else, I'll do better. I'll do better than I used to.
Do you know what excuse you used to give me?
Oh, go on.
Why you drank so much in the beginning?
Yes.
I'm 6'6".
Go on. Go on.
You did?
I'm 6'6".
I'm 6'6". I need more than the average person.
Oh my gosh.
And I believed you.
Oh, I bloody believe me.
But you're a genius. You're a really clever guy. And I believed most of what you said.
Mm. Yeah, it's difficult to pick out the bullshit and froth from the truth, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. So any excuse, coming up with excuses to do what I wanted to do. But recognizing again, I'm not happy with what I'm doing, but I can't seem to stop. So that's all secret. That's all happening at home.
I've just thought of something else as well.
Go on.
Talking about behind closed doors.
Mm.
Me trying to manage the situation with cocaine.
Mm.
Rather than you go out into a busy town centre and then me not see you for 3 days and not know where you are, I remember saying to you, can't believe I said this, if you're going to do it and I can't stop you, because I knew I couldn't stop you, I couldn't change you, do it at the house and have one room away from everybody so that as and when you feel that it's all too much, you go in there. Mm. You lock the door because at least I know that you're safe and you're in the home.
Gosh.
That's me trying to control you a little bit. Because I couldn't control you at all. You were out of control. Mm. And I was trying to control you and monitor somehow. And it just didn't work.
No.
You did it once. I didn't see you for 3 days. Yes. I kept knocking on saying, I didn't mean it. I didn't mean 3 days worth. Mm. Come on, come out. Mm. And you said, no, I'm not ready.
No.
Oh, he's done it. Mm. What a silly thing that was. To suggest, do it in the family home. Mm. But it must have been bad for me to suggest that in the first place.
Yeah, it would have been. Gosh, my hands are sweating.
I know, it's not a nice story to tell. But we've got that. We've got millions of stories.
Like that.
And they come up, don't they, when we're talking like this?
Yes.
They come up.
Gosh, there's so many things that I could discuss and the reality of that. So, for example, taking cocaine at home. I mean, I can't remember why or when it happened that I was starting to do that. It wasn't a Tuesday, February the 27th or something.
No, it's random.
No idea.
It wasn't always weekends either. No. It could have been a Tuesday or Thursday.
Yeah. It's just because as addiction progresses and it gets worse over the years, then you find yourself doing new behaviors that you would never have contemplated before.
And situations at work got worse.
Yeah, yeah. So things are getting worse and then you find that you're doing it at home. But at the beginning, when I was doing it at home, it was a massive secret. So I'd be nipping off. We'd be watching Netflix. I'd nip off and go to the toilet and do some in the toilet. And I know, and you think it was horrible. And I'd be hiding things upstairs, under beds, things that you wouldn't
Under beds?
Mm.
Ooh, found it in the dressing gown pocket once with a £20 note.
Mm. I know. Actually, I'll tell you, and you might have forgotten this, I haven't, an embarrassment to share, just to remind myself of what I did.
Yeah.
When you're a cocaine taker, that you have to do it quickly and secretly when you feel that you have an urge and you want to take some. I'm at home with my wife. The children are asleep. Yeah, I feel this urge that I want to take some cocaine. So I run upstairs, make some excuse. Oh, I'm just going to get changed, some bullshit. Go upstairs, but it's already prepared. So under the bed, there's a plate. I've already chopped up some lines, and there's a credit card, and there's some cocaine, and there's a rolled up note, and it's all ready. So I can run upstairs, do a couple of lines, and then knock it back under the bed, and keep doing that. And I did that for quite some time without you knowing.
And the housekeeper.
And the housekeeper
that we had
and
at the
everybody.
time.
Okay. Yeah.
How did you manage that?
So I was doing that. And I'll tell you what happened was that I remember the day I properly got caught out was when we moved house. And the removal men moved all the beds and all these fucking plates everywhere underneath the beds with cocaine on them.
I never knew that.
Well, I quickly cleared that up. Oh, God, I was mortified. Quickly cleaned it up, I'm sure.
It serves you right.
I'm sure that the housekeeper had found it.
I
But
never
anyway.
knew that.
So look, what's going on behind closed doors? That's one thing.
Literally, things I don't even know.
Still now, I've only just remembered that. I've only just remembered that.
I'm surprised because your memory's shocking.
Yes. I think I said in the first episode about these flashes that you get, camera flash moments of an event.
So just let me go back to that scene.
Yeah.
You didn't have a drink before you did it.
Oh, yeah, no, I'd have been pissed.
Oh, you did it. So did you have to be drunk before you...
Yeah. Yes. I would take cocaine only really when I was drunk. I would never really buy it during the day. It wasn't that sort of thing.
Do you think that's for most people? Because I don't know.
No, it's very different for all sorts of different people. So some of my clients, so for example, I would say I was an alcoholic who, when drunk, thought it was a great idea to buy cocaine, but would end up taking a lot and then do most of my gambling when I was high. I've got other clients who are just out and out cocaine addicts.
So they don't need to drink or gamble?
No, and some of them will say to me, alcohol's got no effect on whether I take cocaine or not.
Oh, really?
I can take it sober, I can take it. They don't get drunk. Some people don't even drink and they become cocaine addicts. You know, some people, that's their drug of choice. There's that phrase, drug of choice. And we use that in the realms of recovery. You know, sometimes you might ask somebody, what was your drug of choice? Because, for example, if you go to the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous, in those rooms, you get people who are addicted to all sorts of things. It's a very open and very welcoming
like
group.
Chocolate.
Well, maybe not chocolate, but that might be Chocoholics Anonymous or joking aside, there are some eating groups. But in NA, you'll get people who are addicted to, cocaine, ketamine, heroin, MDMA. There's all sorts of things.
All of them?
Some of them, all of them, different people addicted to different things. So lots of people, they have a different drug of choice. Clearly, most people with addiction... Wow, actually, I was just about to say, most people with an addiction are probably alcoholics. I can update that because the statistic is not that whatsoever.
Really?
Well, the number one addiction in the world?
I don't know.
Nicotine.
Oh, smoking.
Smoking.
Well, you've stopped that.
I've stopped that too. But most, there's millions and billions of people that smoke. It's the number one killer. It's huge.
Not sugar.
That sugar, well, there you go. That's probably number two. Might be number one. I don't know. I don't think that sugar is sort of classified in the same way yet. I think more and more people are talking about sugar being an addictive substance.
There's definitely more of an awareness online.
Yes.
About sugar.
So, look, human beings seem to get addicted to all sorts of things, and sugar is one of them, nicotine. And then if you go into the rooms of NA, you'll find people addicted to all sorts of things. So you'll find people addicted to cocaine, but there's Cocaine Anonymous as well. And there's other groups that people are addicted to marijuana and what have you. But so what you find is that behind these closed doors, there's all sorts going on. Nobody really knows. Nobody's talking about it.
Well, no one does know, do they?
Of course not.
Could be fried eggs flying around the kitchen.
Massive arguments.
People trying to set the house on fire. You don't know.
Well, massive arguments, massive domestics. Certainly domestic violence. I think there's a huge percentage, more than half of all domestic violence, someone's got alcohol involved. And forgive me, I don't want to be making up statistics, but I don't know the exact statistic, but it's significant. Alcohol's involved in an awful lot of crime.
The worst you did was throw the orange juice in my face. That's as far as we got to that.
Bless you. I was thinking about that the other day as well, actually, which is that we never had the police round to our house.
No.
We never had a domestic that was so big that you or me called the police. I think we got close. I think you threatened it plenty of times.
Oh, I threatened a lot.
Yeah.
Because you believed me.
I did, yeah. And I'm glad I did. Because I think many times that's saved.
I was so desperate.
And kept me on the straight and narrow.
Yeah, I had to threaten you.
Yeah.
It's a form of control. Stop what you're doing, or else I will kill you with my bare hands.
Yes.
The men are going to come in the van and take you away to the woods.
Right. Well, I tell you what.
That one?
I do. Why don't we save that to the next episode?
Okay.
Which is called Can't Live With You, Can't Live Without You.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.